Artificial snow. There's one that locks in. You know, haven't been there, but reading about Sun Valley, Idaho, they basically would never need it to snow at Sun Valley. They could always ski. That whole mountain is set up with artificial snow devices, which basically are just sprinklers, but as they run the water through the sprinklers, they incorporate air. And snow is basically a blend of rain and air to create artificial snow. And so they create that snow by shooting it through a system like a big gun, real long range, but they're jetting air into the flow as the water comes out the gun, and it creates that crystallization and creates artificial snow. And they have that mountain pipe clear to the top, and the ability to create snow on all of their runs. And there's others places as well. How do they keep it from freezing? You know, I haven't been there and I don't know. One thing is you'd have to have it buried a long ways. Of course, once you got a snow layer on the ground probably isn't that cold in that country. The ground only freezes really deep where you have really extended periods of cold temperatures with no snow cover. And in that country they get lots of snow, so my guess is they don't have to have that pipe very deep in the ground to be totally protected from freezing. Yeah, I doubt if it freezes very deep in the mountains. But they may have to run heating system on it too. You know, like the Alaskan pipeline, that pipeline has a giant heating system all the way down it so it doesn't freeze up that oil. And that's, you know, you're talking a lot of money, but if it's valuable enough to the operation, you can afford to do it, you do it. It's an insurance policy for them. They want to make sure that those destination resort people are going to show up. It's worth millions of dollars a year to them, so they can afford to put an insurance policy up on that mountain that's going to guarantee they're always going to be able to ski at Christmas time, you know. They want to make sure that the Christmas holidays they got snow. That's imperative for the success of the community. Dewatering. We'll use irrigation for dewatering sometimes, again, usually in construction, where we might have an area we're excavating and we have the water table is high and we have to keep sucking the water out of the areas we build foundation and so on for buildings. We've got to get rid of that water somewhere. So oftentimes we just irrigate it out into a field or an area that can be used. And then we're not taking potentially contaminated water directly into a stream. Now, that's another choice, just pump it into a sewer or into a stream or something. Well, another option is go ahead and irrigate that water while we have it. Aeration of water. Sometimes we get into irrigation, mainly pumps for aeration. You see that all the time on golf courses. Ponds with fountains in them. What are the fountains? Well, they're aerators. That's why they got the fountains out there, trying to keep the aerobic bacteria working in those ponds. They don't want them to get stagnant. So it keeps the oxygen level up in the ponds by creating aeration. You also see it in wastewater lagoons. Go over here by Boise Cascade Pulp Mill, you see some fabulous aeration going on. I mean, they got it frothing over there. You know, they're trying to get as much air. What you're doing is you're activating the bacteria. The aerobic deterioration of the waste is taking place. And mainly that's a pump situation, but we use a lot of the concepts of irrigation and nozzling to create these pretty fountains that give us a dual function. Aeration plus kind of a scenic, spectacular addition to the terrain, especially in landscapes and golf courses. Log curing. If you've driven by in eastern Washington, log yards in the middle of summer, you'll see they got a handline pipe strung over the top of them and they're irrigating the logs. Well, they don't want those logs to dry out too fast. And so they want to keep the moisture level up in those logs through the dry and low humidity times of the year, so they supply the moisture so that those things aren't going to dry out and check on them real bad before they get milled. Greenhouse and nursery, as we know. Jeff's family runs those operations, and shoot, we use irrigation now in all of those processes to water all those crops. You know, you'd hate to be the guy carrying the bucket, hand watering every plant through a nursery. You'd have to hire millions of people to do that. You know, we can set up an irrigation system, do it totally automated with virtually no labor. And we can get as sophisticated as we want. We can get to the point where every pot gets individually watered if we want to do it that way, with little drip system potential that we have a tremendous drip system potential in a nursery or a greenhouse. Or we can mist over the top. We can do both. You know, if we want to keep the humidity up, and depending on the types of plants, some want to be misted and their leaves watered on a regular basis to optimize their growth and the energy of the plant. Others want to have plenty of root watering. You can do whatever you need. You can put it above them, in them, under them, however you want to place it. And last but not least in this other sprinkler areas is, I call it produce stabilization. It's called hydrocooling. The key term in the produce business is hydrocooling. You keep moisture on the surface of vegetables. Now, how many times have you gone to the grocery store lately and went in to grab the broccoli and get your hand sprayed? You know, they got those little mister systems now, even right in the produce bins. Used to pick corn, and we used to have to water when I was younger, in my days when I was trying to survive through college. Then we had that corn, we had to keep it watered all the time as we picked it. That was part of the process. Hydrocool that corn. Keep it as fresh as possible to hit the market. Within 2 or 3 hours, you got paid a premium. So we do things like that.